Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order this Pierce County Council meeting on May 23rd, 2023. The time is 3:01 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Councilmember Kruber.
Here.
Councilmember Denson.
Here.
Councilmember Herrera.
Here.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Here.
Councilmember Morell.
Excused.
And Councilmember Mello.
Here.
You have 6 members present.
Thank you. We have 6 members present and a quorum. Item number 3 is pledge allegiance to the flag. I'd like to invite everyone to soon stand for pledge allegiance to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence in tribute to our men and women serving in the military overseas. And I will ask Councilmember Denson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 4 is approval of the agenda. Is there any objection to our agenda as published today? Not seeing any. Our agenda will stand approved. That brings us to section 5, our consent agenda. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion.
Do I have any attendees? Is anyone in chambers for appointment today?
Is there any member of the public who's in chambers who is on our agenda to be appointed to a board or commission today? No.
Okay. I move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the consent agenda as presented. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Councilmember Kruber.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call is 6 ayes.
On a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is adopted. Section 6 is messages from the executive, judges, or prosecuting attorney. There are none today. That brings us to section 7, proclamations, awards. Item 1 is proposal 2023-73. Councilmember Herrera for a motion.
I move proposal number R2023-73 for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2023-73. Madam Clerk, please read the title into the record.
Thank you. Proposal number R2023-73, a resolution of the Pierce County Council proclaiming the month of May 2023 as Juror Appreciation Month in Pierce County, Washington.
Thank you. Councilmember Herrera to read into the record.
Whereas the right to trial by jury of one's peers is an important and unique part of our constitutional system of justice and a cornerstone of our republic. And whereas in 2022, Pierce County Superior Court sent over 94,596 jury summonses to its residents. And whereas in 2022, over 11,863 jurors dedicated themselves to completing their requested service. And whereas the Pierce County recognizes the vital role of residents who take time away from their families and businesses to serve as jurors each year. And whereas Pierce County further recognizes that jurors are often asked to put their lives on hold for the duration of their jury service, which may include rearranging work responsibilities, making alternative care arrangements for their child or family members, rescheduling medical and dental appointments, performing household and work-related duties in the evenings and on weekends to make up for their time spent in trial and generally enduring inconveniences. And whereas the courts in Pierce County rely on its residents to answer the call for jury service and guarantee one of the most important freedoms in our society. And whereas due to the setbacks caused by COVID-19, the courts have a backlog of cases, and jurors are needed now more than ever. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Pierce County Council that Pierce County joins the state of Washington in proclaiming the month of May 2023 as Juror Appreciation Month in Pierce County, Washington. And we honor the efforts and sacrifices of jurors and encourage all residents of Pierce County to support our justice system and fulfill the fundamental civic responsibility by responding positively when summoned for jury duty. Adopted this 23rd day of May 2023, Pierce County Council.
Thank you, Councilor Herrera. I'd like to invite up the Honorable Judge Tim Ashcroft and also Michelle West in the Superior Court Department. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Councilmember Mello, and thank you to the Pierce County Council. I do want to thank you for this proclamation here today. Again, my name is Tim Ashcroft. I'm the presiding judge for Pierce County Superior Court. With me is Michelle West, who is our jury administration supervisor. And again, want to thank you for this proclamation acknowledging the hard work that our juries do. Whenever I have jury trials, I always tell every panel that's in front of me a story from my first year of law school, when I had a professor who asked all of us young law students, why do we have juries? And we all tried to come up with some brilliant constitutional or legal answer, wanting to be impressive, and his answer was much more simple, but much more profound. He said, we have juries because it tells the community, you matter, this is your system, and we can't do this without you. And I don't know how much I remember from that class, but I remember that. And so I tell that to every jury that's in front of me, because I am always so impressed with the people that show up for jury duty, respond to their summons, take the time out of their lives, as your proclamation reads. They're just amazing. And we really can't do this system without it. And I will tell you that during COVID, when we started up jury trials again in July of 2020, they came back. And we had, like everyone else, we had all our protocols in place, but they served, and they served well. And I've never had a jury that didn't do anything but its absolute best in its work. And so, Thomas Jefferson said that trial by jury was the only anchor ever yet imagined by man by which government can be held to its constitutional principles. And so on this day and this month, I just thank you again for your proclamation, and we thank the jurors of Pierce County for the hard work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. West, anything to add?
I agree with everything that you said, and it's wonderful to see so many people coming in, and most of them leave with a smile and tell us thank you, that they actually had fun. So, it means a lot.
Thank you. Well, you make it as enjoyable of an experience as it can be when you're significantly disrupting people's lives.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in chambers wishing to provide comment on this proclamation? Please come to the podium, state your name for the record. I'm not seeing anyone. Ms. Price, anyone online? I'm sorry. Which one? That one. Thank you.
For any member of the public wishing to speak, you can press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And first, we have Dawn.
Dawn, if you are online to speak to another matter on our agenda, there'll be other public input opportunities. We're taking public comment on the proclamation regarding Juror Appreciation Month.
Okay, I'll wait.
Thank you.
There are no other hands raised at this time.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Are there any final comments by council members? Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. America is great, and jurors are an integral part of the system being judged by your peers is something that's somewhat unique to the United States. I've been in countries where they don't have that system, and it's a kind of a brutal. I was in the Middle East in some aspects, and I was tracking an incident that happened to a citizen to another citizen, and it was a swift, quick, and I don't know. Here we take our time, and it's important to have our citizens, do their quote civic duty and be a juror to judge citizens that are accused of something. So I really appreciate our system, and it's good to recognize the hard work that they do. And it does, we talked about it here in the proclamation of how it kind of really takes a lot out of your life to do that. So it's good to do it today. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. We're playing musical mics. Thank you for the service that you do to help make the process of going through the training, the bias training that's provided, the instructions that are so clearly given to all our juror members so they can actively participate in this form of justice that we have allowable to us as a citizen and a member of our community. And I will someday get on a jury. Someday. I keep getting not selected. Someday. It's a goal. It's a bucket list. So just wanted to share. Thanks.
Councilmember Krueger.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say I have been called many times. I have served a few times, and I will say the process, thank you for what you do to make it work so smoothly. A couple things I would change a little bit, but that would be for another discussion. But overall, all of these people coming and going, and it's a big deal. And thank you for your service and how well you do it all. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Krueger. Michelle, I think you have your next focus group.
I was going to say,
Councilmember Krueger
I
has.
welcome the feedback. Please
Yeah.
count anytime.
Well, on behalf of the council, I too want to thank you for your professionalism. We do hear regularly that jurors have had very positive experiences. It is very disruptive to people's lives, but it's an integral part of our civil society. So thank you for making it an enjoyable experience and a very important one. I haven't gone all the way through Wadir. I've been to Wadir, but I haven't made it out of Wadir. It probably says something about me, but you've made it interesting and painless and meaningful. So thank you for what you do. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on Resolution 2023-73?
Thank you. Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result is 6 ayes.
On a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. Please join me in a round of applause. For members' information and staff's information, we're going to invite our guests up for a photo to capture the moment. But after this, after the photo, I'm going to ask for the council's permission to move to ordinances, section 8, item 2, because I'm concerned about losing a quorum. So I'm going to ask us to move to ordinance number, proposal number 2023-14 after we grab a photo. Please come up and join us. Sure.
I missed it. This one. This one.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Let me get one more. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
More musical chairs.
So is there any objection? I'm worried about some members' other obligations this afternoon. And is there any objection to moving out of order proposal 2023-14? Thank you, Council, for accommodating our colleagues' schedules today. Councilmember Denson, for a motion on 2023-14, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move proposal number 2023-14.
Second. It's properly moved and seconded to adopt Proposal 2023-14. Madam Clerk, will you please read into the record?
Thank you. Proposal number 2023-14, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council modifying the effective date of ordinance number 2023-5S, shared housing villages in the residential resource zone of the Parkland Spanaway Midland Communities Plan area to postpone the effective date of development regulation amendments challenged under Growth Management Hearings Board Central Region Case Number 23-3-0004.
Thank you. Mr. Kruger, to brief the council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, council. This proposal would amend the effective date of ordinance number 2023-5S due to a challenge of the legislation in Growth Management Hearings Board case number 23-3-0005. The new effective date of the challenged ordinance would be December 1st, 2023. Back in March 2023, the County Council adopted ordinance number 2023-5S, authorizing shared housing villages in the residential resource zone of the Parkland Spanaway Midland Community Plan area. Ordinance number 2023-5S has an effective date of May 1st, 2023. On April 17th, 2023, FutureWise filed a petition for review challenging the ordinance to the Growth Management Hearings Board. That case was named 23-3-0004. Pierce County received notice of the hearing and preliminary schedule of the case on April 25th, 2023. On May 9th, 2023, FutureWise filed a request with the board to withdraw that petition in case number 23-3-0004 and dismiss the case. On the same date, FutureWise filed a new petition for review to the hearings board, and this new case was assigned Growth Management Hearings Board case number 23-3-0005. The Growth Management Act allows counties that have received petitions for review challenging adopted legislation to the hearings board remain eligible and not be penalized in the acceptance of applications or the awarding of state agency grants or loans during the period of remand if within 30 days of receiving the petition, the county delays or suspends the effective date of the action that is subject to the challenge until after the board makes its final decision. Growth Management Hearings Board is scheduled to issue its final decision in order in case 23-3-0005 on November 6th, 2023. The county is potentially at risk of losing state loans or grants during a remand period following an initial finding of noncompliance by the Growth Board unless the county delays or suspends the effective date of the action which is subject to the petition until after the board makes its final decision. Happy to take any questions from the council regarding this bill. I would also note that there is an amendment that I can describe that's a technical amendment, and it would update the ordinance based upon the new challenge that's been filed. As I mentioned, the original challenge was withdrawn, a new challenge was filed, and this amendment would address that new challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions for Mr. Kruger before we consider the amendment? Not seeing any. Vice Chair Campbell to move Council Amendment number 1, please.
I move Council Amendment number 1 to Proposal 2023-14.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Council Amendment number 1. Mr. Kruger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment simply revises language in the ordinance based upon the new case number that was filed, which is case number 23-3-0005. It would also change the effective date of ordinance number 2023-5S to December 1st, 2023 to get beyond the November 6th deadline for the hearings board to issue its final decision. So it's a technical amendment. I'm happy to take any questions on the amendment, but again, in a nutshell, it's replacing an old case number with a new case number and providing an effective date outside of the timeline for the hearings board to issue its final decision in this matter.
Thank you. Are there questions for Mr. Kruger about Council Amendment number 1? Not seeing any. All those in favor of adopting Council Amendment number 1, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is adopted. Questions on the amended proposal. Councilmember Denson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Being new, I'm just curious, has this happened before with the county, that we've had something appealed to the Growth Management Hearing Board, and how did we handle that in the past?
Thank you. Yes, this is not unusual. The county does receive challenges regarding its land use legislation. I wouldn't call it frequently, but periodically. Typically, what the county does when it comes to anticipating legislation that might be challenged is it sets the effective date out at least 60 days, because that's the time frame for appeals to be submitted to the Growth Board. In this particular case, 2023 5S set an effective date within that 60-day time period. When that happens and we receive an appeal, in order to protect the county, within 30 days of receiving the appeal, the county needs to amend the effective date of the challenge legislation, and we have done that in the past. Oftentimes, we will do an ordinance several times during the course of a hearings board appeal in order to always stay out in front of the board's decisions related to the effectiveness of the challenge. There's been cases where we've had to extend the effective date of challenge legislation 2, 3, or 4 times throughout a multi-year period to make sure that the challenge legislation never becomes effective. Hopefully, in this particular case, we'll have a decision by November, and there won't be a need for the council to delay the effective date any further, but to protect the county's interests in receiving state grants and loans, this is the typical standard that the county follows pursuant to the Growth Management Act.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Kruger? Mr. Kruger, I don't think we have an actual list in front of us of what we're trying to protect the county from, but we say grants and loans. These can be conservation grants. These can be parks and recreation grants. These can be loans for things like the sewer utility or the stormwater utility or transportation grants. This is what we mean by protecting the county, is we put the county, if we're deemed in violation of the Growth Management Act by not extending the effective date of this, we could risk the county not having access to various grants like among the kind that I just listed. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
So that's what we're trying to protect the interests of the county from here. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in chambers wishing to provide comment on this proposal? If you are, we'll start in chambers. Please come forward, state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to make your comments. Anyone in chambers? Not seeing any. Ms. Price, anyone online?
For any member of the public wishing to speak, you can press the raise hand icon in Zoom or press star 9 on your telephone keypad. And first, we have caller ending in 075.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. This is Roxy Giddings. Please just pass this. We have got to get through this Growth Management Act hearings board and do it safely and taking care of the county, and I thank you for taking care of the county. That's all.
Thank you.
And next, we have Dawn.
Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that I hear that you're trying to protect the county, but I don't hear anything about protecting the citizens of the county. And again, I am very disappointed in our council for even allowing these funds to be funded with all the people that are against this location and all of the wetlands, and for you guys to have changed the policies so you guys can go ahead and go forth with this. I strongly hope that you guys reconsider and really take in consideration the citizens out here and what it's going to do to our community with no resources out here and so forth. So I'm glad that you're being sued on this, and I hope that they do win because they do have a lot of support out here, and I hope that you guys would take a better, different stance because this is not good for our community out here. The the lack of resources, bringing people that aren't from this community and putting them out here and putting us all in further jeopardy. All the sewer and the wetlands and all of the other stuff that goes with it that you guys changed just to be able to do this is just appalling to so many of us out here. And so whatever we can do out here, we are gathering more and more and getting bigger and bigger and stronger to help in this lawsuit to make it happen so it does not go in this location. You guys were in a hurry, you bought this land, and it's going to cost a heck of a lot of money to develop it. So I speak for myself and others within my community that this is not a good idea and that you guys should support your citizens out here and stop trying to pocket and worry about your own pets that you guys want to meet. This is just appalling to us out here. And shame on all of you. And shame on the council for not coming and being a part of our community and listening to our concerns at the meeting at the library over the weekend. We have shootings and killings out here. People are sleeping on our sidewalks, and you guys still want to shove this down our throat. And it's not in a good location, and you guys know it. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm very disappointed in our council.
And Donna, would you please state your name if you'd like it on the record?
I'm sorry?
Can you please state your name for the record?
Sure, it's Dawn. Do you want my last name too?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's Dawn McGinnis.
Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for your comments.
Sure.
Okay, and next we have Yolanda. Yes, should let her talk.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Yolanda Markle. I live in Spanaway, right down the road from this. Ditto to the lady ahead of me, but just pragmatically, it's a wetland. There's no resources. It takes care of almost hardly anybody. It's just ridiculous. And you all know it, and it's all a political game, and it's just ugly. I mean, I know you work hard up there to do, quote unquote, the best for us, but it doesn't look like it. Even for the people you, quote unquote, are supposed to be helping, the homeless, there's nothing there. They're going to get hit trying to cross the street. I mean, there's nothing there. So go home, sleep on it. You guys need to change. You need to stop listening to the crazy people at the top. And I'm talking about the Pierce County executive. So you need to stop. His pipe dream to do what he's doing is destroying our county. Please, please listen to the people. We live here. Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there are no other hands raised at this time.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council.
Oh.
Just let me know when you got public comments, because I'm your next person on that one.
So we're doing a public hearing on proposal 2023-14. Shirley Yamamoto, you raised your hand. Would you like to comment on 2023-14? Ms. Bryce, you want to give her the instructions?
Yeah. Shirley, if you'd like to unmute, you can press *9 on your phone or press the unmute button. Oh, looks like you got it.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, thank you. Once again, Shirley Yamamoto. My husband and I moved here to a beautiful home 2 years ago from King County, hoping we would be in a better community away from all the homeless and everything we had in Federal Way. And since then, our property values have plummeted. The homeless down here is getting totally out of control. And I know you guys think you're going to do better by having these tiny houses, but why are you putting it here? There's nothing for them here. It's just going to bring more to our community, and it's just going to make our property values decrease even more, while our property taxes increase even higher, let alone what's happening to the schools in this area. It makes me sad that we even left King County, as bad as it was, to come to this county thinking we would be so much better off, and it's just gotten disgusting, just in the last 2 years. Please rethink this and move this to another area. If you got to do it, move it somewhere else. Not by the schools and not in an area that used to be so much better than it is now.
Thank you for being with us.
And next, we have A. Schick, if you'd like to talk.
Hi, Council. This is Angela Schick. Thank you for listening to our concerns. I just want to state, you know how our community feels. We've had public testimony about all of this. It should have never passed. You were brought how it violates our community plan, comprehensive plan, the environment, laws, and protecting the environment. I am asking you to go a step further and completely rescind the 2023-5S. Waiting for an appeal from a growth hearings board is not enough, and you need to create a new proposal that rescinds this proposal and stop this in its tracks. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
There are no other hands at this time.
Is there anyone else in chambers wishing to provide comment on 2023-14? Anyone else? Please come to the podium, state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to make your comments on this proposal.
The last 24 hours, I have been turned over to having to be a landlord on the property where I live in Puyallup, Washington. In your unincorporated Puyallup, Washington area, your law enforcement does not do anything. You call 911, they do not show up.
Excuse me. We're taking comment on this
Because
proposal
of what
first.
these people are just said, apparently you do need to go home and sleep on something because something's wrong. And it starts with you guys saying something.
Can you state your name for the record to start?
Yes, my name's Nikki Michelle Hall.
Nikki, we have a public forum time at the very end of the meeting to talk about anything that's not on the agenda. I'm going to ask you to keep your remarks specifically about postponing the effective date of the development regulations related to the shared housing village in the residential resource zone.
I think you guys need to do something with all of this stuff and a lot more. Because your officers definitely aren't. That's what I have to say on that, and then I will speak about this.
Thank you. Anyone else in chambers wishing to provide comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Are there final remarks by council members? I'm expecting Councilmember Campbell to try to dial in, and he's getting to another engagement. But in the interest of time, I think we're going to go forward with, is he dialed in? Oh, great. I didn't see him on the panel. Is he on the panelist? Okay, I didn't see him on this list. I don't know why I don't see him on my list. Ms. Price, you see him on the list? Okay, great. Are there any other final remarks by council members? This is pretty straightforward. We, as has been indicated, this is very customary whenever the county finds itself in this situation and allows the process to continue working its way through the Growth Management Hearings Board process while preserving the county's interest in many, many grants and loans that we have outstanding for various public interest projects. So I do urge adoption of 2023-14. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? We did. Yeah, we have it as amended in front of us.
Sorry about that. Councilmember Herrera. Aye. Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson. Aye. And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result is 6 ayes.
Thank you. On a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. Thanks for allowing us to go a little out of order, everyone. Let's come back to proclamations, section 7, item 2. We have proposal number 2023-74 in front of us, and I'll invite Councilmember Cruver for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move R 2023-74.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-74. Before I ask Councilmember Cruver to read this into the record, I'd like to invite up our Director of Emergency Management, Jody Ferguson, to the podium. And I'll invite Councilmember Cruver to read this into the record, please.
Thank you, Chair. A resolution of the Pierce County Council proclaiming the month of May as Volcano Awareness Month in Pierce County, Washington. Whereas Pierce County is home to Mount Rainier, one of 5 stratovolcanoes in the state, and while beautiful, is a threat to the county. And whereas Mount Rainier is an active volcano that last erupted more than 1,000 years ago, and a major concern is a significant lahar, which is a mixture of meltwater, rock, soils, and other debris that can develop from an eruption or venting of hot gases from the mountain, and whereas Mount Rainier is considered a high risk for eruption by the United States Geological Survey and is constantly monitored by federal agencies who will notify state and county governments and the communities near the mountain if it shows signs of erupting or a lahar has occurred. And whereas our communities, especially those near the mountain, will experience serious impacts if Mount Rainier erupted or a lahar occurred. And whereas Pierce County Department of Emergency Management will lead the response and recovery efforts for the county after an eruption or lahar and encourages residents to prepare by having emergency kits at home, in their vehicles, and at work, be signed up with PC Alert to receive information from Pierce County and it's familiar with evacuation routes from their homes and businesses. And whereas Pierce County Department of Emergency Management organized a group of local agencies and jurisdictions to participate in an integrated emergency management course on volcano eruptions and lahars for a week in May, at a federal emergency management agency training facility. And whereas by training together, these agencies and jurisdictions are working to improve response and recovery efforts from a major volcanic disaster. And whereas local, state, and federal agencies and organizations work together throughout the year in Pierce County to increase awareness of volcanic eruptions and lahars with the goal of ensuring communities are prepared and resilient to these disasters. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Pierce County Council that May is recognized as Volcano Awareness Month in Pierce County, Washington, adopted this 23rd day of May 2023.
Thank you, Councilmember Cruver. Welcome again, Director Ferguson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Chair. Again, Jody Ferguson. I'm pleasure being your Emergency Management Director for Pierce County. And I thank you so much for this proclamation. I always think back in May every year, and actually it was March of 1980, and I was in the 5th grade, and our class was headed up to the Cispus Learning Center near Randall, like most 5th grade classes do. And but that week we were there, we had a series of earthquakes. And little did we know, there were no cell phones or anything at that time, but when we all returned back, we realized that Mount St. Helens had awoken while we were nearby. And then, of course, a couple months later in May, we had the May 18th eruption. So fast forward 43 years, who would have thought after that I would be part of the response efforts for Pierce County in dealing with our beautiful but dangerous volcano. I will say that the thing that really impresses me is having done this, I'm entering my 33rd year in this career, and just seeing our partners are getting smarter and more creative, more innovative. And I'm learning so much from our newest emergency managers throughout the region, federal partners, state partners, tribal partners. They're coming together and they're so smart and they care so much. And I think that's a great reflection of the leadership we have as well in Pierce County. And I thank you all for that. I will say last week, Pierce County did host a group of 65 people representing all of those entities I just mentioned. They went to a FEMA training facility in Emmitsburg, Maryland, where everybody's captive. They can't get away for the week, and they really have to look at how we can improve our response tactics to be able to take the best possible care of the residents of this county. But it was also great insight for those who are more traditionally responders to understand the complexity of what you all face as the leadership in the county, especially with something like volcanic hazards, because it's not easy. You could enter a period of unrest and then you could have no activity. You could enter a period of unrest and you could have a full eruption, or you could have a period of activity that lasts for 10 years, 20 years, and it becomes very difficult to make decisions around the movement of people and the staging of resources. So I think the merging of those worlds from the response community, from really looking at things from a policy perspective, was eye-opening for the group that was back there. So again, in my career, I've worked for numerous councils, numerous executives, and I really value the importance you've placed on emergency management and the support you have continued to provide while I've been here. It's been so valuable, and it has allowed us to really make progress in caring for the people of this county. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Ferguson. Thanks for taking training and preparation so very seriously. One of the things we have as a community and that your department leads is the PC Alert, the Pierce County Alert system, to be able to communicate with community members. Can you share a little bit more about what the PC Alert system is and how a community member might be able to sign up to get those alerts?
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that up. The thing I will mention to start off is there's no one thing that's a perfect way to alert the citizens. But the great news is we have about a dozen different ways we do it. So we make sure there's lots of overlap.
Cover our bases.
So for anyone in Pierce County, we have a system called Pierce County Alert, where since most of our, not most, but a high percentage of our households are now purely wireless. There's no more of those old analog landlines that we all had as kids. Amy has one. I do too, our little secret. But so what we need to do is, if you have a landline, all of those phone numbers go directly into a 911 database. So if we need to send out an emergency information, all we have to do is draw a polygon on a map and we can send messages to all of those landlines. However, we don't have access to those wireless contacts. So we partner with our residents for them to opt in phone numbers, email addresses, so that we're able to communicate if people have a wireless household. So that can be done through Pierce County Alert. And many of our cities, it's always good to have multiple ways to get a hold of people. So many of our cities have what's called Code Red, but just look for the name of a city and alert, and there will be a mechanism to be able to sign up for that. But I do think it's also important to know that we utilize, in addition to Pierce County Alert, we have the old traditional emergency alert system that we've all seen and heard the tests on our TVs and radios since we were all kids. We have wireless emergency alerts that allow us to triangulate from wireless towers. So if someone's driving through an area, they don't even have to live in the area, but if they drive through an area that's having an emergency, their phone can be alerted. We have outdoor warning systems, we have social media, and emergency management even has an AM radio station, AM 1580, where we can put things out the old-fashioned way. I always say I want to do spinning the oldies on AM 1580, but instead we do emergency alerts on those.
And what are just a couple of the examples of the kinds of alerts you will be notified about? What are we talking about?
A variety of different things. The most important for everyone to understand is the really critical alert, let's say we have an urban wildfire where we need people to get out of their homes immediately, or floodwaters are rising. A lot of the areas that are known hazards are pre-recorded in the system, so one push of a button and we can notify people who live in those kind of repetitive hazard areas. In addition to that, when people opt into our systems, they can get weather alerts that may not be emergency at the time, but will be good information to know. We have transportation incidents. We've had numerous times where Interstate 5 has been closed for hours, so we like to be able to get that information out to people. But so it's life safety will be the either stay indoors or get out of town, and then there's the messages for convenience that there's an emergency and this could, you know, be a couple of hours. So it's a wide range, and we have kind of different mechanisms we can use for each of those.
And hopefully, you'll never, ever have to use it for the volcano.
Correct.
But you have it in the event you do.
Yes, sir.
Questions or comments before we open this up for a public hearing? Councilmember Coover.
Thank you, and for all you do. You have a big responsibility. So is this part of the Amber Alert too?
Amber Alerts are separate, but it does function in a similar manner. So the Amber Alerts will use that kind of triangulation with the cell phones. They do kind of wider areas because they want to do a broader notification, but it works much in the same way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Ferguson. We will open this up for a public hearing. Is there anyone in chambers wishing to provide comment on the Volcano Awareness Proclamation? Please come to the podium, state your name for the record. Seeing none. Ms. Price, anyone online?
For any member of the public wishing to speak, you can press the raise hand icon on Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad, and please state your name if you'd like it on the record. First, we have caller ending in 075.
Hi, this is Roxy Giddings again. I wanted to say that, I don't know, 15 years ago, the emergency management came out and helped a bunch of us in the county. We were Safe Streets. We got together as a neighborhood, and we went around and we looked at things like where the places to turn off water and turn off gas, which you don't do unless you are, you absolutely have to, because it's hard to get it turned back on. And how many people live in the houses on your street, and if there are pets or things in the houses, and how to tell the people to notify people that are coming by to check on you, and they have a sign to put in the window. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff up close and personal to people that just actually live in the community, and you can help each other. You just need some training, and it's wonderful training, and you get acquainted with your neighbor, and you may not like your neighbor, but he may save your life someday. So I just thank you so much for doing this, because we got some of that stuff that came out of Mount St. Helens, and I know that there's hot water at the top of Mount Rainier. So good for you. This is a great, great ordinance.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And there are no other hands raised at this time.
Seeing no other hands, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Are there final remarks by council members? Councilmember Denson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a couple comments, Director Ferguson. Thank you so much for all of your good work. We're so fortunate to have somebody who has a good base of institutional knowledge in this area, because this is a really serious issue for us. I mean, I think a lot of us assume it's never going to happen, but it could literally happen in the next 30 seconds. And well, but that's why it's so important to be prepared. And I've toured your facility and all of the cool stuff that you have that you're ready to deploy for any number of emergencies, and this one is included for sure. It's really interesting that you talk about training, because I know that can be challenging sometimes when nothing's happening. You have no idea if it's going to ever happen, but you have to be ready, because if it does happen, people have to know their roles, because, I mean, there's going to be a lot of lives at stake. So thank you for making sure that we keep it a priority so that you can protect us. I know that Councilmember Coover and I are both volunteers for our local emergency preparedness coalitions. I'll do a plug for the Peninsula Emergency Preparedness Coalition. Just great folks. And the caller, I'm glad that she mentioned that it's really important for neighborhoods to talk and get together and find out what skills people have or what needs people have. Is somebody on oxygen? Is somebody going to need some extra assistance? It's so important to know each other, because in some of the communities, some of the ones I'm in, and I know some of the other council members shared this challenge, if you're on a peninsula, if you're on an island, if you're kind of way out in the hinterlands of our county, help is going to take a while. It's going to go to those urban areas first. So Seattle, it might come to Tacoma next, and we could be weeks without a lot of assistance. So we need to be prepared to help each other. I did not know we had a radio station. That is so cool. Prior to coming on council, I was a DJ for KGHP FM.
Hey, there you go. Perfect.
Our community radio station. So I appreciate that. And I think it's a great asset, because we're not going to have internet. We may not have cell phone towers, depending on what happens. And like you said, we need a number of different methods to communicate with people. So thank you, Director Ferguson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. Director Ferguson, thank you again for the work that your team does. And I did not know you used to be a DJ, so other skills. I don't remember that on your resume or any of your. But I just had the opportunity many times to participate in different types of drills with schools. And the county does a really good job partnering with several of our school districts to practice LAHAR drills. And though kids don't take it seriously in the way that we might want them to, they practice. And I think it's so important. I just want to applaud both the school districts and the county that really leads that up, and the city governments that lead that effort, because their practice, if it doesn't happen during school, the kids will know how to tell their parents what to do, which is one of the things that I think is fantastic. And I know we've branched out and done larger scale evacuations. I vaguely remember helping kindergartners with high schoolers with a senior center in downtown Puyallup, trying to move people up the hill. And I don't remember exactly why I was there. It had nothing to do with my current job. But for some reason I was involved. And it was just so good to see the high schooler holding hand with the kindergartner who was helping with a wheelchair. Yep. It was phenomenal. But I just always go back to my earth science courses that while it is a beautiful natural piece of our world and our planet, it is a human disaster in the waiting. Right. And so it really will be there, and we get to look at it, and 30 seconds, 30 years, 3,000 years, we don't know. But if we sit around and do nothing and don't prep, then it doesn't go well for us. So I appreciate that we keep pushing out in different ways to engage in community and training and raise awareness.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Hitchin.
And I will add the great thing, especially looking at volcanic hazards, the measures we take to prepare for that hazard apply to any hazard. So that's the beauty. And what I tell people, there can be, your neighbor can have an emergency, and that preparation can help that individual. It doesn't have to be a widespread, full county impact. It can just be something within your neighborhood, and your level of preparedness can help save your neighbor.
Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. A lot of good things were said here, but I will say something that hasn't been said yet. Well, you didn't touch on it, how the eruption of Mount St. Helens put in an impression. Probably without that happening in 1980, I don't know where we'd be here, because that was a great example of the power of that volcano and what it did to a very rural area. And we were kind of lucky on that one. And a lot of us are around still that remember those days, and now we're policy people. There's examples all across the world of volcanoes. You came from a volcano place, and how, how people live and how they interact. We have examples in Italy of towns buried and things like that. But and I can only imagine that all people from all cultures have had some type of volcano awareness. Native Americans, they knew that was alive. It's a sacred mountain. It's by itself. It's towering. It burps every now and then. They knew it was real. So it doesn't matter where people came from, what type of civilization, volcano awareness has always been around. So thank you for what you do. It's very important. And thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Herrera. As has been indicated, it's easy to get complacent, to look at the majesty of Mount Rainier and see its beauty, and get complacent to think that it won't erupt and it won't cause significant damage So really important that we remind ourselves and we plan and we train and have tools to communicate. So, and we took the opportunity to talk about PC Alert and some of the other tools this training and communication can provide us in other emergency situations. So we'll help get the word out. We know you work really hard to get the word out about how individuals can sign up for PC Alert. We'll certainly help. Folks can get to piercecountywa.gov/alert. That's piercecountywa.gov/alert and sign up and tailor your communication tools to get the alerts you want and the devices you want them. You can also text to the number 888-777. You can text the number 888-777 PC Alert. That message, PC Alert, to the number 888-777, and you can get signed up for PC Alerts to your mobile device. There's other ways. If you go to the Pierce County Emergency Management website to learn of some of the other ways to be in communication and be alerted, but those are just two. With that, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on Resolution 2023-74?
Thank you. Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Excused.
Thank you. Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call is 5 ayes.
On a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. Please join me in a round of applause. Director Ferguson, invite you up here for a photo if you're willing.
All right. Can I have you open the proclamation? Thank you. All right, 1, 2, 3. Let me get one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
We're back, moving on to Section 8, ordinances. We have proposal number 2023-6 in front of us. Councilmember Hitchin for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move adoption of 2023-6.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt proposal number 2023-6. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title into the record?
Thank you. Proposal number 2023-6, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council amending Section 2.61.030 of the Pierce County Code, composition, revising the composition of the Anderson Island Citizens Advisory Board.
Thank you. Ms. Long to introduce this item.
Thank you and good afternoon. The Anderson Island Citizens Advisory Board was created back in 2004. It's codified at Chapter 2.61 of the County Code. Its purpose is to facilitate communication between the county and island residents, property owners, and business owners regarding significant issues affecting the community, not just land use, but also environmental regulations, infrastructure, schools, ferry service, and public safety. There are 11 members on this board representing a variety of Anderson Island organizations. The ACAB met on January 12th of this year and recommended unanimously that one of its groups be replaced by a new group on the board. So the recommendation was that the Anderson Island Community Club no longer be represented, but instead the Island Arts Group will be, and you'll see on Exhibit A just the substitute of those two groups in its composition. So unless you have questions.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Are there questions for Ms. Long on this ordinance? Not seeing any. Let's open this up for a public hearing. Is there anyone in chambers wishing to provide public comment on 2023-6? Please come to the podium and state your name for the record. Not seeing any. Ms. Price, anyone online?
For any member of the public wishing to speak, you can press the raise hand icon on Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And there are currently no hands raised.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Are there final remarks by council members? Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify relatively quickly, we talked about this during rules, but it was brought to my attention by ACAB, and the concern was that the Arts Commission, the Arts Group, had been actively involved, and the other group was represented because several people are part of this other organization. So they were trying to get bigger diversity of group members since the other organization had a voice already and didn't really need an individual speaking on their behalf. So it seemed very logical, and they did all the steps, so here we are today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hitchin, thank you for bringing this forward. Seeing no other remarks, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on 2023-6?
Thank you. Councilmember Campbell.
Excused.
Thank you. Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call is 5 ayes.
On a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. Section 9, resolutions, there are none today. That brings us to Section 10, other business and announcements. Are there any other business or announcements by council members? Not seeing any. Ms. Long, is there any other business for council today?
Nothing from staff, thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to Section 11, Citizens Forum. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to address the council on any item that was not on today's action agenda. We'll invite you to the podium or soon on Zoom. State your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to make your remarks. We'll start in chambers. Please come to the podium again. Please state your name for the record, and there's the timers on a different screen than you're used to if you've been in these chambers before. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Mello and Council. My name is Erica Snell, and I have some documents. Can you pause my time? Last time you tried. Just so you can read along. Not pause, but, okay. You haven't seen me in a while. Hello. I assure you, I've still been working really hard on the comprehensive community plans as far as childcare goes. What I am presenting to you is from our Pierce County Planning Department. And if you can just train your eyes to the second blue tab under totals. I'm sorry, the first one. The first blue tab under totals, permitted outright, 7,495 square feet. In Pierce County, that is the total amount of square footage you can have childcare. Take into consideration the marijuana shops that we have to compete against. No one wants their childcare centers next to that. So you can eliminate pretty much 50% of that because it's overpopulated in Pierce County with in Tacoma for marijuana shops. Limited means you have to have conditional use permitting, which is what I've been discussing with you guys. On average, it's about $15,000 to get a project started for child care centers. Limited permittable child care, 238,377 square acres. Not permitted, 459,384 acres. Total area of acreage in Pierce County, 705,000. Out of 705,000 acres in Pierce County, only 7,400 are permittable for childcare. This is directly from the Planning Department in Pierce County. I will continue to provide you guys data as I know you are looking at amending the comprehensive community plan for childcare and single-family zoning. Marty Campbell has a whole packet detail of this. I just wanted to bring this one presentation to you for consideration when we do, in fact, come near to the time where we can discuss changing it matter of fact instead of it just being a talking point. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being with us. Anyone else in chambers wishing to provide comment during citizens forum, please come to the podium, state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Michelle Hall. First thing I'd like to know is which one of you are the head person that runs this council?
I'm the chair. Please proceed.
You are. Okay.
Ma'am, we're going to ask you to stay at the podium.
I'm gonna need these.
We'll ask you
so I
to,
can explain what's going on.
we'll ask you to give material to the clerk. Thank you.
Okay, you need to give these to him, so he can explain to you exactly what your problem is in this town, because apparently you guys don't do nothing. I can clearly tell that. I moved here last year from Oregon. The last 24 hours has been deemed by my landlord to be an on-site, going, active landlord for the place where I live, right next to Walker High School. You, as a council member, do not follow the laws. And starting to begin with federal laws, as well as you do not follow any laws on your paperwork for code law enforcement. Means your officers, you call 911. They never come out, including the cops on the cards. Do not come out. You get a case number. They wash this under the rug. When it has to do with Walker High School, a tenant on my premises where I'm trying to evict starting today is shooting a rifle towards your school. Unacceptable behavior. Okay? You need to start following the laws. You need to make sure your officers are following all laws, including showing up, not calling somebody, telling them to go to the courthouse, telling them at the sheriff's office downstairs, giving them a case number, and saying, this is how we're going to handle everything in this state. This is wrong. I'm bringing this to your attention because you, as a head person, needs to stop this behavior. Your officers need to start coming out. Your officers need to assess your situation on site, need to deal with things. I'm trying to stop this guy from not only shooting any of us tenants on the property now that I'm having to handle, for the landlord that hasn't been coming to this property, lives in Bellevue, Washington for a year because he's afraid of this man. I'm not. So I'm going to handle the situation in my end of it. You need to handle the law enforcement. Your officers are not doing their job. So when somebody calls 911, as in myself, the last case was this morning at 6 a.m. Your officers do not respond, do not do their job. I have to go out, I have to pretty much do their job for them. That's wrong. That means you are not helping your citizens.
Thank you. You said Walker High School, correct?
Yes. It's right next door on Valley Avenue, trailer park plus 2 homes on the
Thank you.
property. We have a tenant that's shooting up guns on the property.
Thank you. Councilmember Herrera, I believe, represents that area, so.
And I need those back for court.
Thank you. I'll invite you to meet with Councilmember Herrera after the meeting, and we can have some follow-up with staff or Councilmember Herrera appropriately after the meeting. Thank you. Anyone else in chambers wishing to provide comment? Not seeing any. Ms. Price, anyone online?
For anyone wishing to speak, you can press the raise hand icon in Zoom or press star 9 on your telephone keypad. Please state your name if you'd like it on the record. First, we have Dawn.
You guys hear me okay?
We can't quite hear you.
You can or you can't?
You can now.
Okay, thank you. So I got a couple of issues. We have a life safety, health concern out here in the Parkland-Spanaway area that continually goes unaddressed. Our parks are being runneth over by what you guys call homeless, what we call addict problems. You're not pushing back on it. You're not doing anything to keep the residents of this community safe. There's been shootings and murders out here. We don't see any of our council members coming out here to tell us what they're doing to work with the people out here to keep us safe. We have sidewalk issues, we have lighting issues. My grandson catches the bus and there's people flying up and down 138th Street and Spanaway Loop. I would say about 90 miles an hour, but you guys don't care. You don't listen. You guys continue to fall on deaf ears. And so when it comes time to voting, I hope each and every one of you are voted out because you do not listen to your constituents. You think you're better than us. Once you get elected, you turn off. Janie Hitchens, I've called your office 5 or 6 times, and now you refuse to call back. I've said we have groups of people that want to meet with you, come to resolutions on how to fix some of our problems, and you don't care. You say you live out here in the PLU area, and you don't show up, you don't care. And so that's disheartening to the rest of us. I have a lot of elderly people that live in my neighborhood that have lived here for many, many, many years, that feel like you have abandoned them. I have children out here that can't go to the local parks because even the park staff are scared to go, have to have police escort. Well, if the park staff have to have police escort to kick these people off, how do you expect families to go and participate in any of the park activities that we pay our taxes on? You guys.
Ms. McGinnis, you seem to have cut out. Are you still there?
I see more and more people coming and laying all over our sidewalks out here, breaking and entering into places. Our libraries' windows are busted up. Cars are being busted up there. I was just damn near ran over at the grocery store with somebody stealing the other day at our local grocery store. So I just don't know how much worse it can get before you guys actually get up off your duffs and do something. And if you guys can't be leaders, then I expect you guys to stand up and say, you know what, we're all derelict in our duties and we need to resign because you are not representing or hearing the people of Parkland and Spanaway, at least. We have a voice and we're going to continue to use it. We're not going to go away. You guys continuously ignore us. We've met in meetings and you won't have follow-up meetings. You don't want to hear our concerns. So my question again, and I will put it out there for the record, when am I going to get a call and when is our council members going to step up to the plate and start doing stuff for the law-abiding tax-paying citizens out here that are trying to do the right thing and are scared to leave their homes, are being accosted, robbed, murdered, shot, beat up. Our kids can't go to school because the schools are out of control, and you guys sit back and pat yourselves on the chest like you're doing something good. So if you really want to do something good, show your face out here, start meeting with the citizens, and let's start solving our problems.
I 100% agree with her. You aren't doing anything.
Thank you, ma'am. You already had your time. Thank you, Ms. McGinnis, for being with us. Anyone else? Ms. Price?
No one else with their hands raised.
Thank you. Seeing no other members wishing to provide comment during Citizens Forum, and seeing no other business before the Pierce County Council, we are adjourned.